Hello, and welcome back to another studio vlog with me, Carolyn from Crafting with Glorious Purpose, where here we make unique and custom gifts for you or that someone special. This week, we're going to do something a little different. We're going to do a Q&A. These are questions that I received during my in-person events and through some of the people that have ordered from me or that have stopped by my booth and asked some questions. So I figured these would be perfect time. I'm actually on vacation while you're watching this, and I just wanted to make sure that I put something out there for you while we were gone. And this was like I said, a grouping of, questions that we get all the time. And then I also kind of went through as just to see what answers or what questions I would get. I typed in ChatGPT questions, Q&A questions for a small business, and I got a couple of them that I thought were kind of cool, so I put those ones in there too. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. And again, if you have any questions, you feel free to put them into the chat below, and I would be more than happy to respond to every single person that does leave me a comment. So enjoy. So let's do question number one. So question number one is, do you accept custom or personalized orders? And yes, we do. I pretty much everything in my shop. I don't think there's anything that I offer that I couldn't do a custom version of it for you. I can do a custom shadow box. If you like elephants, I can make that, my bandanas are customizable. The solar lights I'm having a hard time getting them from the manufacturer that I used. But those I have them marked as sold out right now, but those are fully customizable because obviously you can pick what saying you want on there. I have ones you can choose from, but if you have your own saying, I can mock something up. Like I said, bandanas are custom. Decals, obviously custom. If you have a team that you want, if there's something like that within reason, like obviously I don't do copyrighted or trademarked or licensed merchandise. So don't ask me for Disney, don't ask me for Marvel, don't ask me for Star Wars. I can do high schools, I think up to a point, but I won't do college and I won't do NFL, baseball, that kind of stuff. If it's generic, I can. Same thing with military. I did a few military decals, and if I can find the video, I'll post it up in the corner. But those decals, I kept them very generic. So they are, my, trying to remember the phrases. My hero wears dog tags, military mom, things like that. I can't say the branches of the service. I can't put on something Air Force or Marines or Army. Those are trademarked, and you need to get special permission to be able to use those from the United States Armed Forces. So with that said, yes, I can do military. I can do something specific with a name. I also have t-shirts. And I've said in previous videos too, like I don't advertise I do t-shirts. I have them on my website, but they're kind of buried in there. It's not that I don't enjoy doing t-shirts, that's just not profitable for me. I do like having the option on there if someone needs them. Like I just did a whole bunch for my niece for her music gigs, but I don't ever really get orders for those. It's too hard to keep all that stock, so I mostly do those as custom. So I can order the shirts that you want and the size you want, the color you want, and it's done. I don't end up with 50 purples that nobody else wants, but I have to have them in case somebody buys them. So yeah, it's tricky without having to do print on demand to do t-shirts like that. Like I'm just not a t-shirt business, so I have to cut off somewhere on things that I can do quickly. My dog keychains, my coasters are all customizable. I can put any photo on any of my sublimation ones. So that's the one thing that always blew people's minds, like when they would see, and it was funny, the wind spinners that I had, I would take them to events. People knew what they were, they saw them. Some shows people didn't even look twice at them. There were one show that I went to 2 or 3 times. I went for a spring and fall, and then again the following spring, and that's where I sold all of them. Like, I sold so many at there. I actually sold 3 at one event by one person, or I sold 4 at the event, but one person actually bought 3 of them. And 2 of them were custom. So they were shocked that you could put anything on them. And I was like, yeah, I mean, if you have a photo of your family you want on there, I can do that. You know, dog bandanas would be weird, but if you want to put your face on your dog's bandana, you could do that. There's no going anywhere, you know. So yeah, I definitely do custom and specialized and personalized, and anything you want, just reach out. Like, that's what I love doing, is giving you exactly what you want for your cost. You know, like, you're going to pay for something, you should get what you want. You know, and again, within reason. I mean, there's things I can't get, or there's things I can't do. There are limitations with sublimation, and that's one of the things that's very hard for some people to grasp without having done that. And that goes along with the trade. So if you're a small business, you just need to find the way to explain it as best as you can. You know, you can only do sublimation on things that have a certain polyester count. Some people don't like full polyester shirts, so sublimation probably is not the option for them. I would lean them towards DTF if that was the case. If they wanted something quick for an event that was cheap, probably not going to wear again, or something like that, I would recommend vinyl. Don't do a lot of vinyl. Like I said, I got rid of my drawer. I still have my heat transfer vinyl, but I don't use it. It's just too unpredictable sometimes in the wash. And so that would be something I would not want to give somebody long-term as an option. So I kind of show them like the 3-tiered, you know, like if you want sublimation where it's in the fabric, it won't wash out, and it's a little more durable, you'll want to go with sublimation, but the limits are on the colors. Obviously, if you put it on anything other than white, you won't get whites in your design. If you're okay with that, it would look like this. I try to give them examples. So just things to think about whenever you're talking to your customer. Be upfront with all that kind of stuff so that there's no surprises. And yeah, I mean, the DTF part I love. I just cannot find anybody that ships it faster than like 2 weeks. And I'm not charging more in shipping to get it than it was to get the DTF. Like, I need to find somebody locally that does DTF. And then that might change things, you know. Or I could hit the lottery and I could buy a big DTF machine and I can make my own and then print them for others. But I'm not there. So yeah, no DTF for me. Plus, I mean, watching in some people that do have them, like, you have to print every day, even if you don't have an order or something to do, because you have to flush out the lines so that it's, and I was like, I don't know if I can do that. That just seems like a waste of ink, and I'll leave that to the experts. I'll just pay so much per gang sheet and just getting what I need. But yeah, it's a little frustrating, the turn time on that. And I'm hoping that we can kind of find another avenue for that, because by the time we get them for my niece's shows, they're already sold out. And by the time we're able to order them and get them, we already have a laundry list of items. So we will be having another big order here coming soon in kid sizes for her shows. And we tried a new place for DTF, so we're going to see how those go on. They look amazing. The turn was a little less than a week, but it still was quite a ways out. Like, it's not an overnight ship kind of thing. So it's not like you can order them on Amazon yet. So that is, do I make or accept custom or personalized orders? And the answer to that is 100% yes. question number 2. What is your favorite product that you've ever made? So I've gotten asked this a few times at events. And I think a lot of it in-person events, when people ask you that question, I think they want to see your enthusiasm on what you make. You know, if you just go, yeah, I mean, I make stickers, you know, and you're not pumped about explaining your products, then they're not excited to buy it. I think there's definitely something there. So I enjoy doing the illustration part and doing stickers. Those are fun, but I think the best part for me, and I can't really say that it's a favorite product. I mean, I absolutely adore doing the shadow boxes. I think if I had to pick one, it would be that. But I'm having a lot of fun doing collections where I come up with a design in my head or an idea, I draw something out, and then I apply it to the various products, and they all take their own path, like once they're done. So like the sticker looks more like the design that I've done, but then it doesn't translate the same on a wristlet. So I can, you know, change up the design a little bit, or maybe make it into a pattern. So I take that core design and I can actually branch off and make it its own thing to kind of make it all one cohesive collection. So I enjoy that aspect of it, I think, more. But I do love making the shadow boxes, and I love that first look. Like, I try my hardest not to peek, but it's once you get all of the layers built and you put it in the box to test it, and you flick that switch the first time and you see it light up, that to me always brings a huge smile on my face, because I love seeing how it looks once it's there. The only downfall is I don't do a lot of night markets where I can have them on and people can see that glow of the design, and that to me is a bummer, because you know, when it's sunny like this, you can't see the lighting, even if I tried. So that's why I put on my boxes that I light up, so people can kind of get the idea. But yeah, so that's my answer, is I would say my shadow boxes are my favorite product to do. Question number 3 is, do I work alone or with a team? So if you know, I always like to give credit where credit's due, and I might be a one-woman show on camera, but I am definitely part of a team. I have my husband and my son who go to all of my in-person events, and they are there helping me set up, helping me tear down. And when we're home, they are my ideas that I can bounce off. You know, hey, what do you think if we do this? Or what about that? Same thing, you know, my husband's always trying to think of ways to help me with advertising and getting my name out there. It's definitely a team effort for sure. They are both my rock, so they help me more than they think they do, because they're always saying, no, this is your baby. And it's like, whereas I can appreciate that, they mean the world to me, and they actually help me more than they know, for sure. So definitely part of a team. My son is very creative as well, so I'm trying to get him into doing more design work, and he's created a few stickers that have sold, and I have them in my rotation, and they're more on the younger side, but what surprisingly is the people that do buy them like the sayings on them, so they, you know, he's shocked by that, because he was trying to have an angle for teens that come through, or kids that come through that might like it, and he was shocked that more adults like them too. One is like, I'm sorry if I space out, and it's got a little space helmet, and yeah, there was adults that bought that. I think one woman bought it for her husband, which we thought was kind of funny, but I told him that any of the stickers that are his design that I sell, that he would get the profit on them. So I I hold true to my word. I give him the profits for those stickers that sell. So we have those in our sticker book ready to go. So I should probably add them to the website just to see if we can get some more sales for him. Yes, to answer the question, part of a team, and my team rocks. I love it. What is one craft that I've never tried but would like to? So this one, this one's tough. I always wish I learned more about sewing. In the realm of like quilting and things like that. My grandmother was a huge quilter. My mom was a seamstress for a little while, mostly for men's pants. And I learned some of my sewing from them. May not be traditional and may not be the correct way. But to be honest, the machines that they have now, like this one here, completely different than just threading the needle and hitting a button and going. Like there's no 50 different stitches. It was just simple sewing. So, I mean, I wish I would have learned that. But to the same point, the one thing that I really wanted to do when I went to art school, and I went to the Art Institute of Pittsburgh for their associate's degree, when I started there, like the main thing, and now let's be honest, I was there in the 90s, so airbrush was all the rage, but that was when I first got out of high school. And when I was going there, the one thing I only wanted to learn was how to airbrush. Like I knew I would not have that opportunity. We weren't a very well-off family, so being privileged enough to be able to go to a 2-year college was amazing. But I knew that I would never afford to own my own airbrush, so I wanted to learn how to do it so that if I needed to do it, I could, like I loved everything about doing it. And the upper quarters, so there were like 4 quarters, the upper quarters got to do color photography and I got to do airbrush. And I went straight through. I did not take any time off. I did not take spring break off. I went through the summer. I only took off for the holidays when they were closed so that I could hurry up and get to that. And then 3rd quarter was black and white photography, which I learned how to do, which I absolutely loved. Like processing and developing your own photos. So cool. So cool. Got to do the darkroom, loved it. Once we got to the 3rd quarter, they changed the curriculum and they got rid of color photography and airbrush. And I was devastated because I really wanted to learn how to use airbrush. And now I can use the airbrush filters in Illustrator. So I still get to airbrush. I can use it on my iPad as well. Not ideal, not as messy, but not ideal, not the same thing. But I really, 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 so on a more hands-on and artistic, I really wanted to learn airbrush. Never got to. And would love to have learned quilting and correctly sewing. I mean, I can do a wristlet, I can do a straight line. But to actually think up some of these projects that I'm seeing on Reels is just beyond me. The whole thing with zippers and doing bags that fold into themselves, like that is a really cool talent to have. And I'm not there. I just I like sewing a straight line. I can make a bandana like a mother, but that's about it. The next question on our list is, what music or podcast do you listen to while you're at work? So I technically don't ever really listen. Like if I'm recording, I can't. So I haven't been lately, but my favorite genre is, I am a huge metalhead. If you haven't seen some of the shirts I've worn, in some of these videos. I'm a 80s glam metal. I also enjoy AC/DC, Megadeth, some of the heavier stuff too. But if you were to go onto my phone and look at my music, it is probably 80% 80s rock and just rock and metal in general. And then the rest of it is some wild cards that would make you go, what? So whenever I hit shuffle in my car, it's always a unique mix because you never know. It's like a life of my playlist is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. So I have Billie Holiday in there, Harry Connick Jr. Then I jump to In Vogue. I have I did a guilty pleasures of all late 80s, early 90s hip hop. So, you know, you got your Vanilla Ice and Sir Mix-a-Lot, you know, the one hit wonders. I have a bunch of those songs just sprinkled throughout. I have some country on there. I'm not a big country fan, but I do love my Johnny Cash. But I would say on a daily basis, most of the time it's some kind of rock or metal that keeps me going because I can't listen to happy music. I need something with a little grit and try to keep to the beat and moving. So I can't listen to soft songs. I need something to keep me going. So that would be what I listen to. The next question is, what does a typical day look like for you? So for a typical day for me, if you've followed me thus far, it usually is a crash and burn, burning the candle at both ends. I'm not sure what you want to call it, but I work a 9 to 5, 8 to 5 actually. There are some weeks that I'm on call, which makes it a 9 to 6. What I do is I get up, do my morning routine. When I get down here, I have usually about a half an hour or so before work to button up some things, kind of figure out what I'm going to tackle. I do a pad and pencil list. I can't do the online typing on a to-do list. I need it written out so that I can get the satisfaction of crossing it off. I have, you know, I check and make sure I don't have any admin. I check my emails, you know, take a peek at posts and see if I have any orders or any anybody responding to anything so I can respond back to them, kind of things like that. I usually log on around 8. So then I'm on until my lunch break. And my lunch break, I'm an early luncher because this is the latest I've ever worked at a job. My first job I worked at 5:30 in the morning till 1, which I kind of miss because to be honest, having your entire afternoon was great, but completely different company and those things change. I did come to the new job and it was also an early morning, so it was more of like a 7 to 3:30. And yeah, so now, you know, I have the morning, I can get a few things done before I log in. Sometimes I'm a little later to the game coming down here and I'm dragging my butt to get on at 8, but my lunch breaks were always early because I worked early. So I'm used to eating around 11, 11:30. By then, if it's after that, I usually start to get hangry and nobody likes that. So I usually take my lunch break around then. And then if I'm not running errands, I typically don't run as many errands and get outside as much during the winter because I hate being out in the cold. So when the sun's out, usually Carolyn's out. So my lunch breaks, I usually, even if it's just going for a drive or walking around a store, something like that, which I tend to do more in the summer than I do in the winter. But you'd be surprised how fast an hour lunch goes. So I usually make something quick to eat, or I'll eat at my desk while I'm working my work, and then use my hour to cram in as much off my to-do list as I can, work, design, whatever I can, and then log in the rest of my afternoon. I'm usually done at 5, and then, I have my evenings. I try my best not to work during the evenings, but sometimes it's just not feasible. I have to do it. You have to, especially on a show with upcoming shows, I'm usually doing setups or new products, or, I'll batch do a bunch of stuff at lunch and then spend my evening weeding or supplementing or something that needs my complete focus that I can't do during lunch. So, and then the next day rolls around and I do that all again. It is tough with having a 9-to-5 and a small business, but that goes with the territory. I mean, everybody on here that does that knows the struggles. I am blessed that my little one is not so little. He's turning 16 this year. So, he kind of does his own thing, as we all do. And then we have family time and go and do something fun together. So it's not that he needs constant supervision, as if he was a toddler and then I was trying to do this and a 9-to-5. I don't know that I would do it, because it just would be too much. Like I had said in my previous questions, or my previous answers to the previous questions, my husband and my son, we do things together. So if we're prepping t-shirts and working on them, we're all doing them. We had at one point to get my niece's stuff done. My husband was pressing the shirts, giving them to me. I was putting in our logo on the inside, folding them, and getting them prepped so that he can prep, getting them ready for him to press. And my son was making the mugs upstairs. So we had sublimation and pressing and everything all done just to get those finished for her. So we had quite the little assembly line, but that's, an after hours thing, because we're not here all at the same time. I work from home, my husband works in the office, and my son is either at school or he's doing counselor things at the Y this year. So, at least he's enjoying his summer. I am, trying my best to get out and about as much as I can. So that would be my typical day. Next one's a hard one. What's your favorite crafting supply that I can't live without? I don't know that I have one. For me, my favorite craft supply is just a good old sketchbook and pencil. I love doodling. I like drawing. I don't get to do as much of that anymore. But if it comes down to me figuring something out in my head, I take right to the pencil and paper, because I can sketch it out and then hurry up and draw somewhere else. So I'm constantly drawing little thumbnails. I just have doodles everywhere. But that to me is my favorite supply. If I'm going to say for my small business, it would have to be my cutting machine. So I have a Cricut. I know a lot of people are very, pro Silhouette or the Caesar or, whatever their cutting machines are. But I'm just going to say cutting machine, because it wouldn't matter which one I have. It's just that I have one and it saves me a ton of time. I would not be able to do my shadow boxes without it. That starts with a pen and a paper, or a pencil and paper. I don't start those on my laptop until I have a concept down, and then that gets scanned into my laptop, and then I start doing the layers over top of it. To cut that all by hand, I don't know that I would do that, and I would have to charge so much that it would be stupid. Nobody would buy it. They'd be like, oh, that's nice. Yeah, I'm not spending that much, because your time into it needs to be factored in, and it would take me an immense amount of time and probably a lot of carpal tunnel and broken fingers trying to use a blade and cut out all those little tiny things. So I would say the cutting machine, if that went away and I didn't have it anymore, it would make my life a little more difficult, because I use that for a good portion of my stuff. Not everything in my business is done through my cutting machine, but enough that it would make my life a lot harder, and I would have to figure out something else. All right, so another question I get is, do you ship internationally? And I tried, but I don't. I added England and the UK basically onto my store. The shipping is so outrageous that it's just, I can't imagine anybody wanting my stuff that badly that they would pay that shipping price for me to be able to get it out to them. I did send out to another small business a little package that she had opened on her YouTube channel. And I just think the shipping is so ridiculous. I mean, the value of the product wasn't as much as the shipping was, but I would love to, but I don't think my customer is international. Maybe someday I'll look at it again. It's just not feasible at this point for me, with the shipping costs and the whole, yeah, I mean, if somebody wanted to pay it, that'd be fantastic, but I had the UK up for over a year and I had nobody purchase for me from another country. So I offer United States shipping only. So I just asked ChatGPT to give me some questions, just out of curiosity. I've went through all of the questions that I have been asked in market events, and I couldn't think of any of the other ones. So I figured I'd throw it out there and see what questions it would come up with. And one that I thought was really cool is, what's one thing you wish people knew about shopping small? Yeah, that's a very good question. It's a loaded one at that, because every small business is different. For me, I don't think of myself as a one-woman show, because like I said, I have my husband and my son who help me out tremendously. But we are in a factory, and we're not Amazon, and we don't ship. When it's done, and it gets sent out. So I think a lot of handmade small businesses go through that, where people expect things turned around as quick as Amazon or Temu or whoever that people order from. And they're like, I don't understand why it takes so long. Well, it's crafted. It's not something that you're just going to go on a shelf and buy. Now, granted, some of my stuff probably could be sold wholesale, could be on a store shelf, like car coasters. I've seen people sell those wholesale. Probably could do decals that way too, where they could be mass made. But shadow boxes don't just happen, in 10 minutes. It takes some thought behind it, making sure that it works. Same thing with, if you're a crocheter, you go through how many patterns or iterations of it to make sure that it works and it looks right. You lose count, you start over. I mean, it's hard work, especially if you sew. That's another one. Like, I'd only do a little bit of sewing with my bandanas and my wristlets, but I don't do actual, bags and things from scratch that would have to be tested to make sure that they work. Like, if you put a lot of stress on a zipper, will it break if you've not done it right? Or how do you do it so that you make sure that the patterns don't look wonky when they're folded? And I think people love that instant gratification of Amazon and the 2-day shipping and everything. And most of the time, like the things that I see most people complain about on Etsy is the unrealistic, it has to ship in their time frame, like it has to ship. And it's like, but if you're a business that's doing these things from scratch, you don't know how much is put in the front end before you get the product, especially since that person probably is a one-person show. They are doing it out of their house in their wee hours of the morning, if they work a daytime job, taking care of little ones. It's tough, So I think a lot of people think that just because you're a business that you can just crank things out, and that's not the case. Small businesses work a lot harder than bigger businesses because bigger businesses have the footprint, they have more money to put towards things like employees, and I don't have employees. I can't even pay myself. I mean, everything I get, I put back into the business. So I don't have people to pay to say, hey, can you do the grunt work I don't want to do? Like I do send out my taxes. I think that's the only thing that gets sent out because I want to make sure that I'm doing it correctly, and I don't know the tax laws. But if I'm doing anything else, I don't outsource any of my stuff. Everything I do is done here in this little craft room. And it's tough when you don't have somebody who appreciates that and they just assume, or they come to your tent and they go, oh my God, did you make all these? Well, yeah, I'm a handmade business. That's what I do. I don't resell other people's things. I don't, go on Amazon and buy stuff and then put it in my tent and say, look what I made. Like everything I have, I've made. And I am proud of doing it. Like I don't put something out that I'm not proud of or that it doesn't meet my standards. So I try my best to make sure that it's troubleshooted before it goes out. So there's a lot of things that small businesses do that people don't see. And until you become a small business owner, you do not really truly appreciate how much is put in. Because I appreciated small business. I always tried to shop small. If it was somebody local, even local hardware stores or things like that, because I know that they are trying and they're family, like community people, and you want to do your best. But not until I became one did I realize how much more is involved than just what you see at the surface. So just keep that in mind whenever you're shopping this holiday. Like shop small. It doesn't even have to be with me. Just shop somebody small and give them, the peace of mind that they're doing a great job. That validation is there. So keep that in mind for your holidays, even anything. Like if you're going to get somebody a birthday gift, get them something handmade because it says that you thought of them enough to get them something special, and not just something off a shelf. So it's hard with the Amazons and everything out there where you can just order whatever you need and it comes. But it'd be nice that you could get something that somebody really wants, or something that's beautiful, that's crafted, personalized. It makes a big difference. So keep that in mind when you shop next. All right, so this one's the last one, and I thought this one was funny, the ChatGPT gave, but I thought it would be a good one. What is your zodiac sign, and does it match your business style? So I am a Gemini. I always joke that I wish I had a clone that I could put to work and do my 9 to 5 so that I could do more fun stuff with my family and send her to work and get her paycheck. But life does not work that way. But I think it's said that Geminis kind of have that split personality type thing. And I don't know how much you follow zodiac signs. I really don't either. But what's funny is I feel like I live a double life, being a small business owner and I work a day to, an 8 to 5. So that definitely would match my style. I mean, it definitely is, you know, I'm one persona by day and then small business owner by night kind of thing, or on the weekends at craft shows and things like that. So I definitely think that does put in the twin kind of thing. Like I'm the same person, but I have to be two different, I wear two different hats, you know. So I mean, I thought that was interesting. That would be a cool one. So there you have it, folks. 10 questions you wanted to know about crafting with glorious purpose. I hope you enjoyed this vlog, and we will catch you in the next one. Bye.